You was about to say something.
I was.
You
That's why I
caught
had to
your word.
smile. I had to smile. Oh goodness.
Oh my goodness. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Real on Parenting, where we dive into all the messy, beautiful, and downright complicated parts of parenting. And let's be real, life in general, right? Because as
Yes.
I am having a hot flash right now
As I'm turning my fan on
that
because you
did not
said the H
start
word.
until I pressed record.
All right.
We are your hosts. I am Kiana, Coach Kiana Shaw. This is my co-host.
Therapist Danielle.
And today we're tackling the topic
Ooh,
that many of us don't talk about, but definitely feel the tension in, right? What to do when your ex still wants you, right? Now,
when
listen,
when when
this,
he or
can
she
I do a
still wants you,
disclaimer?
boo. You
Can
can.
I do
Go
a
ahead.
disclaimer?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Because
Because
I'm pretty sure a lot of ears went up.
I just want to say, I want to talk about me and my ex. I'll put that out there. We are co-parenting pretty good these days. I don't want no drama.
Right,
Danielle came
right,
up with this
right.
topic. She
I
found
did.
this topic, okay? And so while we know, like I know that co-parenting is a beast, we know that co-parenting is a beast, right?
Hmm.
But when one parent is trying to slide back, right, like in the DMs, or they making
Whatever.
co-parenting difficult because they want you back, or just just the whole situation can get real bad real fast, right? Especially if you know the person who's not checking for them is starting to date somebody else, or maybe they get married. Like it could just be a really bad situation. So today we're just gonna break it down with some practical, no nonsense tips, right? So Danielle, tell us the inspiration for this, because when I saw the topic, I started laughing, but I want to know the story behind it, and I wouldn't let her tell
So
me the story ahead of time, y'all.
she would not. Okay. She's like, hold that word. But it came from, I mean, we all scroll the social medias, and I came across a video reel, whatever you want to call it, where a lady actually was a video then, videotaping the exchange of her son with
Mm-hmm.
her co-parenting partner. I'm assuming we're just gonna say ex. I don't know the dynamics of their situation.
Okay.
And the ex, who's a male, says, "Give me a kiss." And she says, "You kiss me, I'm calling the police."
Because we're gonna go on and put that under sexual
Right,
assault.
right. Well, right.
That's
But
what
it
you kiss
also,
me.
as a therapist, right, it just speaks to the fact that, okay, there is a history here, okay?
Mm-hmm,
But that
mm-hmm.
was her response to him. And he kind of plays it off like, nah, 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 what about a hug? And then she was like, if you touch me, and then fill in the blank. So he was like, so what can we do? And the way that she did it was so smooth. It was non-confrontational, and it's still, she kept her cool. I will say that either she in therapy or she had a lot of practice, because the way that her responses kind of just rolled off her tongue, and no emotional anything on her face. But when he said,
Okay.
so what's next? What can we do? She went like this. And he kind of paused, but she kept it there. And then so he fist pump, and then you could see his head go into like the window. And she said, "I'm gonna call the police." He's like,
Right.
"Oh, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm just playing." And then that was the end of it. And so I thought that was a very realistic situation that actually went well. A lot of times, or sometimes, it doesn't go as
Right.
well
Because as I
and
put myself in her
non-confrontational.
shoes, no.
I already know where it would have went. Would have went viral. That's what it would have went. So I thought it was an excellent conversation to have, because it's like, how do you navigate? And it doesn't always have to be the men. It can be the women who are still pursuing, and I call it that not taking no for an answer. Like, you still
Right.
mine, you always mine. And this is on both
Right.
ends. And it's like, that's so unhealthy and so toxic. So I was like, how do you navigate that? You still have to co-parent with this person. You guys still have to have some type of interaction to some degree. This is totally excluding violence, totally
Right.
excluding domestic violence and safety issues of any sort. We're not speaking about that.
Uh,
We're just
but
speaking in the ass.
something like that could get real violent real fast, because you
It can, but that's a different conversation. That's like a whole nother.
Oh,
45, 50
I'm
minutes
triggered.
episode.
I'm sorry. It brought up a memory.
It's okay. It's okay because some people, or actually a lot of people, may be triggered by that because they probably have had experiences where their exes would totally stepped over the line,
Right,
and totally was disrespectful, and then also put you or the person in a position where their safety was at stake. So it's totally understandable. It doesn't feel good, but understandable if you are triggered.
yeah,
But I wanted to have this kind of like open dialogue conversation of girl, what to do, bro, what to do, like, bro, like she acting like she don't understand the words coming out my mouth, and clearly I know she does. So what do I do from there with still trying to be the respectful parent,
right.
you
And
know?
I want to say this because like a lot of us have had this situation, or know
Mhm.
someone in the situation, right? I like how she was just like, if you kiss me, I'm gonna call the police. If you
But she didn't
like,
have the Kiana tone. It was, and when I tell you, it was
oh,
very
she was
smooth. It was.
what
I
is
was
that?
like, well, let me play back because she said it so calmly. It's one of
Okay,
those. She
well,
actually
all
was
right.
practicing a lot. It was no type of tone. It was like I'm gonna call the police. He was like,
So I was sharing this story recently because I had a guy at my job out years ago,
Mhm.
and he kept making advances, and I told my boyfriend like, hey, like this is escalating, and I really don't know what to do, and he was like, tell me how you said you weren't interested, and I was like, I was just I was uncomfortable, and I was like, hey, I'm back up, and he was like that, stop that. He said, I need you to be very clear with him because when I show up, I don't post up. I'm not coming to say, leave my girl alone. I'm coming because you made it very clear and then he didn't.
Right.
He was like, so what I want you to do, and I've learned, and this is a lesson I've taken with me, it's been over 20 years. He was like, when you want to be very clear with a person, I get it. Even if you're nervous, don't do that nervous laughter. Be very
Hmm.
clear,
Yeah.
no. And so that's how as you were telling the story, that's how I pictured it happening.
That's how
But
you
you said it was a lot
understood.
less
Yeah.
confrontational in her tone and her blinking. So,
But
because
it
I
very
blink in the
much
tone,
also
I really do.
gave. Well, yeah, I know. I'm very aware and have seen it in action. Okay, in real
That's,
time. But
that's
it was.
it.
But it gave
Be like,
gave the
don't do
aspect
me.
of one of those, the people that are very calm, and then when there's no more calm, then there's Tasmanian devil.
Listen.
That's what it was given, to be honest. If you could read between the lines. But
Hmm.
either way it goes, it was very, very smooth. Um, it
I'm
played out
pouring my
well.
coffee if you hear the
Okay.
pour. Okay. Okay.
I assumed that he was not aware that she was recording, but I just thought it was an excellent, realistic topic because I'm all about topics, but let's talk about some real ones that can be applicable to a lot of people's lives and situations.
Absolutely.
All right, so we are going to go
Yes.
ahead and if you see me looking not in the screen, is I'm trying to stay on track because I get to rambling, so I'm making sure I'm hitting the bullet points. Okay.
Okay.
Um, so because I always have a lot of thoughts
That's so funny. That's so
that that
funny.
that I want to share along the way. But yeah, we're going
Okay.
to just talk about some realistic but yet doable things in regards to setting clear boundaries when you're co-parenting in this type of situation.
So I like that she was direct. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
level of honesty. And that can be hard, especially as a woman, because like one of the most dangerous times in our lives is when we are rejecting someone. And this is not just because this is both men and women that
And
we're talking
women.
about,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
As a woman, I know that one of the most dangerous times in my life has been in just trying to reject someone. Like, hey, thank you, but I'm not interested,
Hmm.
and it can escalate. And because
Real quickly.
domestic, intimate terrorism, right, like domestic violence and things like that happen, usually when women are killed, it is by their partner, and so or an ex-partner, right? And so it's hard to manage that. That being said, I love that she was direct. Excuse me.
Yes.
All right, let's go. Let's go. You can go ahead because I can see you itching to get on that.
But yes, but the direct communication. Like she had much practice. Is she if you're able to see it, you will understand. But being very clear, but with being clear does not mean that the person's going to be like, okay, all right, in compliance. This is speaking to
Right.
the aspect of this person is not wanting to hear what you got to say, and but really sticking to the aspect as I am committed to co-parenting. I do not want any intimate or romantic involvement with you.
Right.
It ain't, I don't want you. It's none of that. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't do it for me. No, it's really sticking to identification what you want, which is the focus of the co-parenting because you
Yes.
have to, and addressing also the aspect that there is no interest whatsoever on an intimate. It's like, let's be honest, there's some people who don't even want the interest of co-parenting, but hey, they don't have an option within that. But in regards to the intimate aspect or the interest aspect, and yeah, and I think that wording can be very, very helpful in regards to,
Getting to,
what I'm
maintain it.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because so here's the thing, because sometimes, people initially don't, they be like, okay, I'm gonna just wait it out. I'm gonna try again later, right? Which I think is a
mm-hmm.
very important thing that we teach our kids.
Right.
I heard someone say, so when she said she wasn't interested, you know what that means, right? And then a male said, I mean, try again later. And I was like, no, it means leave her the hell alone.
It means no. It means never, ever, 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 ever,
It
ever.
means if she
Yes.
don't circle back to you, just leave her be, right? But I
Right.
think that
Right.
sometimes being clear and to reinforce your boundary, I have been very clear on my position and I need you to respect that. Right. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. When you have to
again,
reinforce and circle back.
I be
Yes.
looking, my face has its own tone. So,
It does.
but people know me for that. So I'm not apologizing for that. I'm saying if you are a person that has a hard time communicating your boundaries,
Yes.
reinforce your position just every now and then. Like, you know what? They're not respecting this boundary. Repeat it calmly but firmly.
Yes.
I
Another
I have been
aspect,
clear. Now,
right?
get the hell
Another
on. Well, you don't
aspect
have to
is
say get
that,
the hell on, but yeah, I'm
right.
listening. Go ahead,
and,
girl.
and I can hear some of the parents screaming, but all they understand is violence. All they understand is me coming for their throat, coming for their neck,
Right.
right? So
And that's really unfortunate because people
it
really do
is.
like
I'll
be
say, because I'm not
forgetting.
condoning you cussing nobody out. However, Kamala, sometimes people have to be reminded of who you are, not in a physical violent kind of way, not in making any kind of threats, and a clarity on where a clarity. Remember, look at me, y'all. Look at me. If you look, you're alive. Look directly in my eyes. Don't look at Coach Kiana in this current moment, okay? Because I'm gonna keep you out of jail. If you end up in jail, that means you did not do what I said.
Yeah,
Just,
I'm legal-ish.
let's remember that. But sometimes people gotta be read, you know what I mean, and but not in a disrespectful way. Some people feel that being cursed at is being disrespectful, but you understand, for those who get it and
Right.
understand, you get it and understand. However, still speaking to the aspect of you're committed to co-parenting,
Absolutely.
and if you need to even throw in there because I have to, throw in there because you got to. And then if when the co-parenting partner is actually complying, is respecting your request, acknowledge that though. Thank you for
Yes.
respecting our mutual co-parenting relationship. Thank you for respecting my request to not come from me. You know what I mean? But
Right.
but acknowledge that, because it, as a therapist and psychology wise, as humans, when you reinforce and acknowledge a certain behavior, you can tend to see more of it. Doesn't default mean that he or she will be like, oh, okay, and but it's just acknowledging the fact that thank you for respecting what I asked.
Yes. Absolutely. All right. So what about like establishing communication limits? I'm asking
But
you as a therapist.
yes, you have to be honest with your co-parenting partner and what they've shown you they can handle.
Okay.
There are some dynamics where you can communicate face to face. That can be a thing. That's not everybody's situation,
Right.
but that can be a thing. There are some dynamics where the only communication is through via text, because with texting allows you to see what you wrote. Because face to face, it already came out your mouth. You
Right.
can't go back and edit it. You said what you said. So it allows you with I would say with texting, it's not necessarily as adults you would assume that we'd be able to communicate, but it allows you time. You can,
Right.
go. I tell parents, put it all down, put it in your notes, just in case you may hit the enter button or send button. Put it in your notes.
Listen, I'm good for putting it into my notes and then copy it because,
Yeah,
honey,
put it in your notes. Give it some time. If you already feeling some type of way, just say what you're gonna say in the note section, and you can
right.
always come back and re-edit.
Yeah, I love that.
Also, it allows you time to not have an emotional reaction to whatever was said or whatever was done
Mhm.
in the moment. So if you are responding in real time and you're feeling some type of way, there is a great likely chance that you are emotionally reacting to what was said and or done. Or what you said is kind of like out of the realm in the sense of you showing that you were bothered or you were upset. And there's nothing wrong with showing that, but the way that we speak when we're calm is clearly obviously different when we're upset or frustrated.
Right. And when we're doing those limits, being clear, like I only want to discuss co-parenting. If it is not about our child, that's it. Like the whole how you doing today? Okay, yeah, that's pleasantries, right? But what y'all eating for dinner? You could be pleasant,
Yes.
but sometimes that what y'all eating for dinner goes into what y'all doing this weekend to can I come?
Right.
You understand what I'm
Right.
saying?
End up to the person knocking on your door, or I'm outside. So with that, right? Let's be honest, right?
Listen, my doormat say, did you call first? Like, do not pop up on me. That's not a good look.
But a lot of people's situation is that I'm around the corner. Oh, I was going to such and such, and but with that, like you said, additional aspects of that is when you do get those text messages, when you do get those calls. So let's speak in real time. If you get a call out of nowhere, there is anything going on, any events related to your children, is one of those. If it's important, they will leave a message. That's how
Right.
you reinforce those boundaries for yourself. Also, let's say that you received the text message that included everything that Coach Kiana had shared. You address the specific information pertaining to your child. That's it and that's all. And sometimes you may get a text that has nothing to do with co-parenting and you do
Right.
not respond.
What
So
you wearing? It's late.
You leave that on red.
Just thinking about you.
Yeah.
See, okay, so you said leave it on red. All right, because I got an
Oh, yeah.
Android, so like, yeah. I mean, sometimes I get a red receipt, sometimes I don't.
Because it's a setting. I was saying,
I'm
I'm
working on
talking
me.
with Android people,
I am
but
not
you have to update it.
always.
It's just a tad. It's in the settings where indicated. But my point is, you don't have to read it. You don't have because you do know how you can on your notifications get it like
Danielle is
email to your
struggling, y'all.
first
She's
word.
trying to keep me together so much.
I am girl. I got you. All right. So you do not, read at your discretion because you know your triggers, right? Like we have to be honest with ourselves. Whereas maybe 10 years down the line, you are unbothered by any type of message. But 5 months in, it's like, what the hell? And you are emotionally reacting.
And I agree with that. So excuse me, just to keep us like on it, but use apps like the whatever parenting app you choose. I forget.
Right, there's parenting apps, yeah, because I went on the tangent. But yes, keep
no,
going.
it's not that. I just parenting apps. Let's see. I have what's it called? Talking Parents and Our Family Wizard, right? Those are the two, but we don't even use them because we communicate pretty good. But there was a time where I was like, let me go and put these on my phone so that when it's time, I just go on and log in. But we do it to keep the communication structured and focused on parenting. Now, we are able, and I'm speaking of my situation specifically, we are able to have great communication, but sometimes our communication can get real shaky real fast. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. You disagree with this, I disagree with this. But if it starts to escalate to where it's like borderline, I'm gonna shut it down. I'm gonna shut
And
it
what
down
does
because you
that
ain't
look
gonna
like
talk to
that?
me
What
any
does
other
that
kind
look
of way.
like for you?
What, shutting it down?
Yes, because everybody shut down is different.
Yeah. So talk to
But the
me the way
Coach
you
Kiana
would.
now,
Talk to the way you would if my daddy was standing here. Because you
yeah.
keep on talking crazy, my daddy finna be standing.
Well, yeah,
Baby,
yeah,
look, I got a
yeah,
daddy,
okay.
I got a bunch of uncles, I got brothers, I got a whole bunch of cousins. Like, yeah.
So
And
that goes back. Sometimes I have to be reminded that is not a threat. That's
all
just the
my homegirls
reality
is
of
crazy.
right. Anywho,
Listen, don't get dog. And I
right.
listen, not him,
Anyway,
because he cool with all my peoples. Like, you know what I'm
right,
saying? But
right.
I'm just saying.
But very true. The parenting apps are a lot of people's reality. And even sometimes
Absolutely.
for themselves, you may acknowledge the fact like if he or she go this way, I know I'm going right with it. So you have that
Right.
as a guidance for yourself as where to make sure you stay on track.
Yes. But I
So and
also want
all
to point out, like, with those apps, like, you can archive written communications, right? But just for the record, maintaining a record to discuss, or I'm sorry, of discussion, right?
mhm,
That you've had, because boundaries can be ignored like repeatedly, and then legal action is required. So I like
right.
the apps, and it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't have to be the apps, right? Like, just saying. But to keep them in the perspective of legality. Now, what I do is, because when I put things in writing, I am always conscious that this could be, on a jumbotron in a courtroom with a,
Correct. Right. We bring the jump on try back. But yes, very
with
good
a
much. So you
So
yes, you
I
say
am
that. You did say
mindful
that.
of
Mm-hmm.
how this is all gonna work out. Sorry, the sun came up, baby, and it was a
No,
situation. Like,
no,
the
I
blinds is open. I was like, why am I giving, like, that Obama poster where the whole poster is like
stop.
light on one side. I didn't understand what was
Oh,
happening. I was just like, this is something changed.
oh my goodness.
Back to what I'm saying. Uh, sorry.
Oh,
Y'all know it's the real on parenting. It's the
right. You're
real on
good.
crazy as
You're
well.
good.
Uh, but
I'm
I
not
I
claiming that. So,
okay.
I know my
But
anyways.
I have to remind myself, let me get back on track. I have to remind
Right.
myself that this actually could be put up on a jumbotron. So I'm mindful
Yeah.
that I am speaking the facts and only the facts. I'm mindful that I'm keeping it related to our child and only our child. I'm mindful
Mm-hmm.
that when other things are interjected, I don't even address them. Right? Like, oh,
Right.
you
Exactly.
had a booger in your nose. Let me stick to what is co-parenting.
Right.
Right. Oh, you said you was going to the left, but you went to the right. Does that have anything to do with the co-parenting story? It doesn't. Let me stick to co-parenting, because
Right.
in the
Right.
event that this is up in a courtroom, I want to be like, Your Honor, as you can see, I am not emotional about this. So in writing, I am emotionless. Now, again, to Danielle's point, put it in the notes, because in the notes, I got all my feelings.
Yes. Yes.
Everything is in the notes,
And the name
because I
calling.
got to get it out.
Right.
Right. So when I'm
Exactly.
calling you a
Right.
BAN, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Stop.
sorry,
And if you know
sorry.
what that means, anyways, but go ahead.
Oh, it's in the notes. Then I
And
take
you
the
know,
notes, I
it
edit
was
them,
not sent.
I put it in a text message. And my text message is very matter of fact, as opposed
There.
to,
Yes. Yes. And the
but
matter
on a
of fact
parenting
is,
app, you can't delete in the parenting app. So be mindful.
thank you for that disclaimer. For those who remember, Coach Keanu told y'all you cannot delete. So you better put it in your notes first,
Put it in
okay?
your notes, edit, and then put it into the parenting app.
And also, we've talked about this before, and we said it jokingly, but also we were for real. With the whole AI situation, options. I'm gonna say situations. If you have difficulty with clarity, with communicating in a way that's with all the, I'm one of those. I'm very
Mhm.
wordy when I write. So putting into, she over there getting, mind your business. So with that being said, but no, put it into ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever your preference is. However, if that is not the tone and how you speak, go and put some of your personality on it. Okay, like
Right, I was gonna say
don't be copying and
ChatGPT reworded
pasting.
something for me, and I was just like, "No, this ain't hood enough." But hold on, let me.
Right. So
This
there
too
is an
corporate.
element that you do have to make it your own, okay? Even though there isn't like plagiarism, and actually there's an aspect of it. But anyway, but you get my point is if you need help with some of the wording, there are options. And also if you have those healthy, supportive friends, if
Right,
you have that option, you can use them as well. So but then there's the written communication that's obvious.
right.
Let's talk about the aspects of when you're creating the boundaries in the physicality,
Okay.
you know, whereas like prime example of I don't want to say old girl, but of the lady, they were doing their transition of child, and oh boy, he gets all up in her window. It's
Because
like
that's too close. Like when you was it
that
the
was way
passenger window or
too
the driver
close.
window? I need a
She was in the
description.
passenger window, which makes me think
Okay,
was
because
it
that gives
scripted.
me
And it
more
may be,
space.
but I have long arms. Like we're getting loud. Hold on, because I'm starting to get riled. Let me take a moment, because me and my physical space that's a trigger for me. I have really long arms, and if I could touch you, that means you too damn close. Anywho, she must got short arms. Either way it goes.
Well, but the
So with
passenger
that,
window, like if I stretch my arm, I'm not actually touching the window. So if he's in but his head in the window, do like because if my fingers can
well, the car is
okay.
me, so that means you touching the car, you touching me. That's how
Oh,
I do that, man. But
okay.
anyways,
So there's that.
that ain't my situation. Let me just calm down. So, with that being said, it's just like, let me, all right.
But
So,
that
but
almost
with
came out
that,
my nose. Okay, go ahead.
with that, there's the physical aspect. There could be a cut, and with the under that, there's a couple of things. There could be the not feeling safe, also ensuring the safety of where the transition, exchanging of child or children is. Make sure
Yes.
it's a public location. Make sure it's
Yeah.
always a car or something driving around. And you may have where I've worked with several families where the police department, the fire department,
Yep. Police department. I don't
the
know. Yeah,
the
because the
police
fire department
department, the
don't
fire
have
department.
guns. I'm absolutely
So,
100% for the police department.
so, but
Drop
everybody's
off and
situation,
pick up. I know it's
but
uncomfortable. It look weird. It's kind of rude, but yeah, meet me inside, bro, because you're not
but
gonna
let's
play with me.
right. But some people's police department aren't necessarily local.
Okay.
Speaking to the realities, I like giving a lot of realistic options, but it could be the local if it's during the week or even like the weekend. It could be the local library. It could be the local recreational center. The point is that there are eyes. There are people walking around. There are eyes. Where if something go down, you can get support or you have a witness.
Right.
But you can also speak it verbally communicate in regards to not feeling comfortable with what
Hmm.
this person said or did.
Absolutely.
When you ask me any questions related to anything not regarding our children, I do not feel comfortable.
Hmm. So stop it and be very
Right,
clear about
right. In
that.
so many
And let me
words.
tell you, because I
So,
know a lot of men in this situation, right?
mm-hmm.
Um, not a lot. I know several men in this situation. And I think that sometimes, like, people downplay how much men need to create physical boundaries. Um, Oftentimes, a man is hit by a woman, doesn't
Yes.
call the police, right? That
Yeah.
don't make him any less.
Less. Right.
That does not make him more secure. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't call the police. That actually kind of ensures that this is about to happen again. Um, because as women and like ladies, just between us, lean in close, sometimes we be the problem. Okay, so I'm not
Say
gonna
it
say that
again.
again.
Say this. Say it again. So you can whisper
Okay,
it so
I
they
okay, ladies, sometimes we be the problem.
correct.
Now,
A
I
lot of
know
the
I'm in
time.
I know I'm in mixed company because men listen to this show too,
Yes, a
but
lot of the time.
sometimes
A
we be the
lot.
problem.
Yes, and I'm saying as
Okay.
a therapist working with the women and the men and the children, Mamas get, excuse me, got me choking. Mamas get it together.
Right. And so, whereas men create boundaries and physical space by utilizing police departments, fire departments, schools, or whatever,
Hmm.
I think that if we be ladies talking to us, if we can be more mature, if we can be less emotional, right? And I'm not saying be masculine because when we take out our emotions, that is a emotionless. No, I know no, it's not. I rephrase that because growing up with a bunch of males, because I didn't have really a lot of female cousins my age that lived near us, anger was the only emotion I was able to express. So men are very emotional as well. It's just how we express it. But when we
Hmm.
go from just being angry to being manipulative to being vindictive, um,
Right.
that tends to be a trait that comes into the co-parenting space, and
Hmm.
it shows up as I'm not bringing my child over there today. You can't see your child this weekend,
Right.
um,
Right.
because typically children reside with the moms.
Typically, yes. Yes.
Um, it shows up as if you don't do what I say, then I'm going to alienate you from your child, right?
Yeah.
If we don't grow up and understand that that's not okay, then the men have to create these boundaries. And now you all out of whack because
Right.
when you really could just go, hey, let me get with my girlfriends and have my sane girlfriends. Let me because
Yes.
we know who to call to
Same,
sanction.
SANE.
Right,
Hmm.
because we know who to call to sanction our foolishness. You understand what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
I know
Not them.
exactly which friends to call if I want to blow
Hmm.
up the truck. I know exactly which friends to call if I want to ride out and stalk somebody. I know exactly your
We know
same
who to call.
friends.
Right.
So men have to put I say this to you, create those boundaries. Meet
Please
at the
do.
police station because
Yes.
when a woman, and y'all can get mad at me if you want to, when a woman starts dealing in manipulation and alienation and they start to be vindictive, you have to protect yourself.
You do.
Meet at the police station. Inside, inside, if at all possible.
Yes.
And yeah, it might be a little bit out your way. So what? Meet at the police station.
Yes. That your life is freedom. Yes. You
Yes.
get the point. Yeah.
Yes.
Very true. Very true.
And because like, yeah, her people might be outside. Like, everybody going to jail today.
We all understand it can escalate real quick and we end up
Yeah.
like, what happened? Like, anyways,
Yes,
but
but
yes,
don't
but
take
very
your
true.
girlfriend. Don't take your new woman because just depending on how much she likes to tussle, that could just be a bad situation. You might be escalating something.
You
Don't have
know
to be
what?
escalated.
That I'm glad you brought that up because that is going to lead into something else that I there is once again there's a lot of dynamics within
Hmm.
all of this, and there's multiple things to be mindful of, and there's a lot of moving parts, and then on top of that
Yeah.
you have regular life. You got practice, and you have this and you have that, and you got to mail this off and stuff. So sometimes things slip the mind, right? However, when you know that your co-parenting partner is not in a space and may not ever be in a space, that just may be where they're emotionally functioning from, where
Yeah.
they cannot see you with another person.
Yeah.
The exchange of children, the transition of children, I'm saying as a therapist, that person does not have to be there during the exchange. It does not mean, oh, don't have it involved in it. No, no, no. We're just speaking to the aspect of the transitioning of children.
Right.
Um, and that's a whole nother therapy session and all that, but I'm just speaking only to this aspect because it is a choice. It doesn't mean that you're neglecting the person. It doesn't mean the person's not important. If the
Right.
person that you're talking to has a problem with that only related to the transitioning of children, then you guys need to have a real conversation.
Yeah.
So that's something else. Thank you. That made me think of that. Another, because because people, why are you giggling? Like I am so you.
I know you're
If
serious.
your partner is not confident in themselves as a
Come on here.
person and their status in their relationship with you, then he or she ain't it.
Facts.
Point blank.
Now let's also be clear because sometimes as an individual, you playing games and now your partner is insecure because of the games you've been playing. So keep everybody grow up. Everybody grow up.
Correct.
Everybody let's just keep the boundaries.
Get it
You
together,
know what I'm saying?
parents, okay?
Right. Because it like I can hear, in the spirit,
The
somebody
chatter. Yeah,
going,
you hear the
it ain't
chatter.
me, it's him, or it's the new boo, or you know what I'm saying? Now I will say, as the new person in their life, you really again, you don't have to go. If you just want to take the ride, then let them drop you off at the local Target. Okay. Do some shopping. Let them go. It didn't come. You don't have to be that person all the time. Like you don't have to be a forever presence, especially if your motive is to make your presence known. Because nothing screams, y'all got problems louder than that. Okay.
Right, right.
But I think that the person, not the person, whoever is bringing in the other person, like I think that they need to make sure that they have set their own boundaries, right? And that
Right.
they are clear. They're not playing games.
Excuse me.
I find that a lot of times when couples are having the issues, excuse me, it's because either the breakup is really fresh or
Yeah.
they're dipping back and forth,
Yeah.
right? Or it's an emotional or mental health issue. So it's
And it's
always one of
all
the
of
four.
it. And it's all of it. Let's be honest, it's all of it. And has been no clarity on what the status of the relationship is. So
Right.
where one person may feel like,
Well,
oh,
I
we
don't
done.
know because I mean I have a client and it's a full-on divorce. Like they've been divorced for a minute, but it's the his desire to hold on. And so she's
Okay.
like, look, I'm trying to move on, have a new relationship, but his desire to hold on. And so it's like he better not be around my kids. Well, now hell, he live here now. What you mean? Like so
Well,
the
I'm
kids
like, and
just
are
ain't
the
never visit?
legalities involved? Because in that situation,
Right.
legalities in that, and there's that. But
Right.
and that's very
That's
true.
why
I
I say
mean,
it's mental health and emotional health.
yeah,
Like it's important.
yes, yeah, no, very much so. Anyway, that we're
I
getting off
feel
track
like
because we're
we,
gonna
yeah, I
start
was
talking
gonna say,
about
I
something
feel like
else.
we're off
So
track.
we're
Let's
gonna
get
start
back
talking about ourselves.
to
But
when your ex still wants you.
yes, correct. With the hand gesture, okay, because we understand what that means. So, but another way of communicating is using I statements. So with the I
Oh,
statements, I love I statements. I always say to use at your discretion, but this is in other dynamics because when you use an I statement, it is very specific in regards to how you feel as a result of somebody doing something
okay.
and no wiggle room. So I feel statement is basically a fill in the blank kind of sentence. I feel blank when blank, or I feel blank because blank. So the first blank speaks to the specific feelings only, not a whole nother story, not a whole nother narrative, not your perception. No, I feel uncomfortable. I feel violated. I feel disrespected when you try to pursue me intimately, when you make underhanded gestures as
Right.
if you like we cool and we're not speaking about our child.
Yeah.
Period. That's it. Not referencing 10 years ago, not referencing last week. No, period. That's it. And I say stick to the script because when you use the I statement, because there is very little using when you use it correctly, there's very little wiggle room to pull from certain words and react to those. So when you're
Yes.
in a situation that's high emotionally involvement, we do not listen to understand. We're listening to react. We're
And
listening
respond.
to
Yeah.
have a certain emotional reaction. Well, you said this. I didn't pursue you. So that's why you need to be specific on I feel uncomfortable and violated when you send me text messages and then you can read the text message, okay? Because that's what the person said. And it's not for him or her to like, it's for him or her to hear what they did that resulted in you feeling disrespected, violated, and all those things. And you can say, once again, all communications that we have will only be regarding the parenting of our son, our children, our daughter.
Yeah. And I think that, reinforcing the mutual goals of our child, right? To shift the
Mm-hmm.
focus when we're off. And so the I statement is, I want us to have a positive co-parenting experience or positive
Mm-hmm.
co-parenting relationship that prioritizes our child's emotional well-being, right?
Yeah.
I This is
Yes.
what I want, right? And
Yes.
then it's like instead of, because what I find is you not doing what's best for the child. Wait, hold on, let's go back. I want us to have a positive, what did I say, co-parenting relationship.
Yes.
So I get that. Like the I statement takes the focus off of whatever the shenanigans is and helps us refocus on us, right?
Yes.
Helps us refocus on what I am saying personally. But I think
Yes.
people miss that because we have a tendency when we mad to
Right.
be like
It is
you.
very easy. And that's what now, and I would say, if you're going to use I statement, granted, I highly encourage it. You need to practice it. Because even with who talks like that, first of all, we don't naturally speak that way. And
Mhm.
when you add some high emotion, some strong emotion on top of it, your
Right.
I situation quickly turns into a you situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it defeats
And
the
we're
whole
trained
purpose.
in it and we still struggle with it. So
Right. I'm
I
like, hold
know.
on. Let me get the notes on my phone and get to typing. So, because we're human, we are human first. So if every time your phone bings in regards to the notification to your co-parenting partner, you roll your
Absolutely.
eyes, you need to pause to even read the message. You know what I mean? And not in
Yeah.
a you don't have control of yourself type of way. No, is you are acknowledging that this person is triggering for you
Yeah.
and giving yourself the space to regulate you first
Yes.
so that you can co-parent from a calm but also contained place.
If
Anyways.
y'all notice, Danielle's voice changed a bit because
Mm-hmm.
she really tried to get y'all to understand.
Mm-hmm. I am. Y'all need to calm. You need to calm it down.
Yes. And listen, even in saying that, like avoiding like mixed messages and like overly friendly language and gestures that can be
Yeah.
misconstrued.
Right.
Like we could probably do that one arm church hug, like that side hug.
I'm like, why are you touching me?
If ain't nobody
See,
dead, I don't need you to embrace me. You
even
understand
if
what
they are,
I'm
no disrespect, because you have to accept
saying? The
where
condolence
the
hug
parent.
is kind of
No,
hard to do from the
no,
side,
yes,
but
and you
okay, I
use your
get
words.
you.
I'm sorry for your loss, because that touch could erase everything that you
Yeah,
established in regards to those boundaries. And I'm more so
right.
speaking to accepting the emotional and mental space your co-parenting partner is in.
Yeah, because you can stay polite but professional.
Because I've worked with some people who they've had no contact with exes for 10 years. And the ex is still talking as if they talk every day. So don't
Oh
confuse it.
no.
Don't confuse it. If your co-parenting
I mean,
partner continues to show you that any act of kindness, despite the situation, means y'all go together, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm just saying, do
I'm
not
so triggered in this
do it.
conversation.
Anyways, don't do it, girl. Don't do it, homie. Just don't. You'll be so mad at yourself.
I
Anywho,
statements, neutral tones in both verbal
no
and
touching.
nonverbal communication. Because nonverbal communications are a beast as well, right? Because
Yes, I mean, because
when I hit you
nonverbal
with
is
the
body language.
when I
Right.
hit you with this face right here,
Mm-hmm.
you know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? What
Yeah.
but at the same time, when I hit you with the, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So your tone, your I statements, using neutral body language, use neutral tones. Like, and here's the thing, because people think that, oh, well, I can't avoid or help what they made up in their head. But did they make it up? You know what I'm saying? If you walk by and you know, grazed a little bit, like, did they make that a, come on
Yeah.
now. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because let's just be honest, we could be a little slick
Mm-hmm.
in our communicating as well. So,
Yeah.
and I witnessed that over the holidays, and I was just like, I see them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, okay. Like, the body language told me, and I'm not even in their situation, but the body language told me they still
Yeah.
get it. But okay.
Right. 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 And when your friends are calling you out, you're like, what? No, you know what you're doing. And
Right.
keeping in mind, we're speaking to the aspect of when your ex wants you, but however, keeping in mind, this is impacting your children.
Right.
This is impacting your child. So they confused hell. Is he daddy today or is he the what, at this current time based upon what you say?
Uh-huh. Absolutely. And I think that, that also sets a boundary on personal sharing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because um sometimes we can overshare, and it could be a very small thing, like I'm going to get my car fixed. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep this focus on the babies.
I'm about to say they ain't got nothing to do with the. However, let's say that you need to change the time of scheduling.
That's
I have an
different.
appointment regarding the repairing of my car. I need to change the time. You know what I mean? You
Right.
don't have to go into
But
details
if
of
they
where we're.
say, where are you? And you like, oh, I'm picking up my car.
Yeah, yeah,
Where
yeah.
are
That
you?
that.
Putting myself in a position to go get our child. Like that's
Yeah,
that's how
no,
that
for
goes.
real. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And then if the
exactly.
conversation keeps evolving, it's like, hey, you know what? That's not relevant to our child's needs. Let's focus on their school pickup or school schedule or their clothing allowance, whatever. Like,
Yeah,
that's not relevant. Let's focus on this, right?
right,
Again,
right.
if they mentioning, oh, that one time that you left your boots in in the living room, that's not relevant.
Yeah,
Let's focus on what's at
yeah.
hand.
And
Yesterday you were 5 minutes late. That's not relevant to this conversation. Let's focus on
yeah,
what's at hand. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I was gonna say briefly when you spoke, when you mentioned about who you with, for those who have legalities involved, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you may have to speak to the aspect of such and such, if that person is with you at that time. So we're not speaking anything against any legalities that are in place. If that's your situation, you adhere to your court's instructions,
Yep.
okay?
Absolutely.
Um, because you ain't saying
Absolutely.
that the real parents
Like,
got
yeah, the
to.
court trumps everything we try to tell you. Okay.
So we're speaking to, I would say, kind of like a bigger picture related to aspects of, like I mentioned in the beginning, is not necessarily safety that's really an issue. It's just the person ain't getting it, or no, or they're choosing not to, right?
Mhm.
And how to navigate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was something else I wanted to
Oh.
talk about, because sometimes one of the services that we do is supervised visitations, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, I absolutely hate supervised visitations because I feel like it criminalizes a good parent who maybe have made, an emotional decision. However, that being said, it is absolutely necessary
Right.
sometimes to have supervised
A lot of
visitation.
times. Yeah.
Most of us are not in a situation where that it has to escalate to that. That being said, most of us are in situations where we need to involve a neutral
Neutral.
third party,
Yes.
right? And so if it's necessary to involve a mediator, it could be a person that you both decide on, that's a mutual friend that, has both of your best interests and your child's best interests at heart. It can be, a spiritual guide like pastor, priest, whatever. It can be your lawyer. It can be a court appointed mediator, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
somebody who can help
Right.
facilitate the healthy co-parenting.
Right.
Um, I think that sometimes, particularly in African American communities, we feel like somebody on the outside should never have to be there. But then we tell our friends, we tell the whole family, but then we feel like somebody on the outside should never be there. We
Yeah.
tell the people
Yeah.
who we know will sanction our foolishness, or the
Right.
people that we know, are like, hey, at the end of the day, I got your back. And if having your back mean that that other parent is completely alienated from their kid, that's what we're gonna do, right?
And that's not okay.
Few people have somebody in their circle that go, "This is dumb. Let's back this up. Hey, knock that off. Like I'm with you.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm in public. I'm gonna stand 10 toes down with you. But when we get back to this house, I'm gonna let you have it because this is completely stupid."
Right.
So having a neutral third party, a mediator, a counselor, a lawyer, whatever, to help with the day to day, to help with the major things, may be necessary and typically are a free service provided by the courts because they
Typically,
understand
yes.
it might take a minute to get in there, but
A
it's
minute,
a free
minute.
service.
But
But
yes.
typically mediators don't charge that much. Like they like, okay, here's the situation, here's my thoughts, this is what I think, you know what I mean? And you can usually do it in an hour's time at like maybe $70. Like that to me, for the piece of it all, that's not a lot.
Right. 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 Right.
That's not
Right.
a lot for just to have peace in the relationship, peace in the transition, in the co-parenting. And I think that
Hmm.
sometimes like we forget that having that support that is unbiased to ensure that the conversations remain constructive, we forget that that is absolutely necessary for
It
our
is.
child's well-being.
Right. It's for the child. It's not for you to like it. It's not for you to agree with it. If you've been in a position where you've done everything that you could do, everything you could think of, you put all the cards on the table as a way to try to streamline and get to a healthier place of co-parenting, and it's not working, the third party person is required basically at this point, speaking as a therapist.
Mhm.
Um, So let's see here. So we've talked about many things. And let's say that the person is they still doing what they still on that stuff. Okay, not like that, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, anyways, but you know what I'm
On
saying.
that foolishness, got it,
They
noted.
still yeah,
On their
trying not
foolishness.
to be cooperative. And with that, there's times where okay, what's the consequence? Okay, it's like
Right, because I believe in
you
consequences.
we believe in for our children. So
Immediate,
as adults,
sometimes immediately and violently. But I'm coming.
anyways, that member listen to what I'm saying. Yes. So with that, there are consequences, and with the consequences, depending on the situation, the dynamics, everybody's situation is slightly different. So a lot of people consequence your thoughts immediately go to legalities. Sometimes, yeah, the legal realm, when you've done everything in your capacity, everything that you could possibly think of with supports of the right people, right?
Right.
And it's still it's not changing, or it's changes for a little while, and then we're back at square one. You find yourself repeating yourself. Legalities, go to the court, because it's shown that your co-parenting partner don't care. They're
Right.
not choosing what's in the best interest of your child or your children. So go to the courts to where that is something that is legal, is in place. And then if the person, the co-parenting partner, does not comply with that, it's not then your responsibility to execute these X, Y, and Z consequences. It's the court.
Yeah.
And it takes it out of your control of having to do that, which causes more strain, on your co-parenting relationship that's
Right.
probably already strained, but still, it takes that element out of your hands.
But be clear that violation of of these boundaries will result in me contacting the court. Like now, what the
The
court do about
communicating
it,
that,
but
yes.
please understand, I am not going to play with you. This is what it is. We're going to stick to this. We will not
Mm-hmm.
deviate. And then you have to maintain that you are not deviating because it's
Right,
inconvenient or because you're running late.
right.
Hey, just so you know, this is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And being clear and then be prepared to escalate it if necessary. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we don't want to escalate because we know it will cause further whatever. But
Right.
sometimes we don't do it because we're more concerned about how it makes us look. Get over that.
I was just about to say, yeah, it ain't about you. It is not about you.
Sometimes you have to modify the custody arrangement. Sometimes you
Yeah.
have to change up, but do it legally. Don't start
Right.
off legal. Excuse me. Don't start off legal and then be like, okay, we can work this out. If y'all work it out, put it in writing so that
Right.
it's back to being legal. Like, hey, okay, so
Right.
because of this, let's go ahead and make this adjustment and then send this to
Hmm.
the court so it's a part of our file.
Exactly. And it's updated accordingly.
Yes.
Because in that moment, right, that moment is not going to necessarily stay the same across the board. So the
Absolutely.
good emotional space everyone's in and had agreements, 10 months from now may be a totally different story. And if it wasn't
Absolutely.
documented or provided to the proper people to implement to make legalities, the person can lie, but I didn't say that.
Right. Now you're doing
I've
business
seen
on
it
a
happen.
handshake,
I've
and
seen
that
it
has
happen
never
multiple.
worked out.
Right. I've seen it
Yeah.
happen multiple times. So just more so just for the safety for everybody and the sanity as well.
I will say this, like people become parents because eggs and sperm meet up. That's literally the only requirement for me.
Yeah.
Like egg, sperm. And now, from what I understand, like it could just be a whole test tube, right? Like, but
Yeah. That
however the egg and the sperm meet up,
meets.
a baby is produced. Nobody has to take parenting classes. Nobody has to take mental wellness, mental health. Like it's not a thing. Nobody is told you have to be
Unfortunately.
emotionally stable first, right?
Right.
And because nothing is implemented,
Here we are, right?
here we
Anyways.
are with egg and sperm meeting up, and that is the only requirement. So everything else you need to know and manage before the egg and the sperm come together.
Yeah.
Is that always possible? Absolutely not. But when we
Correct.
go back and think about it, we probably could have held that sperm out of our uterus to get to the
Mm-hmm.
egg a little bit longer, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, right,
We
right.
probably could have asked a few more questions. And I'm not, I don't normally plug another company, but um, tonight's conversation is a podcast, and they have amazing cards that just ask questions, and they're questions that you don't always think about. It's not always, but they are amazing questions when you're trying to get to know someone to decide if
Mm-hmm.
you want this person as a person, a part of your life.
Body of life
I
forever.
absolutely love them. I've been using them. Like they got all kind of different editions for all kind of different things you like. But I think it's important because currently they're the only conversation cards that I have seen that hit on conversations that we either avoid or we just don't necessarily think to ask, and but they open up a whole range of emotions and conversations that are just not being had but should.
It
So
should. Yeah.
I absolutely think before, if you're dating someone, I mean if you already got the baby and it's already drama,
But
it's too late.
also,
But
but also within that, your child could be 15, your child could be 5 months, your child could be five, right? 15 months.
right.
You can always start because it's a process.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. It's a process and it's a journey. And just
Yeah.
best believe as your child gets older, some of your stuff is going to be right there on the table.
Absolutely. And being able to have adult conversations about whatever life is throwing your way is important.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's it. You have any other thoughts?
No, that was it. I think
All
they
right.
understood.
Again, Ace Metaphor, if you ever see this, please give me an affiliate link, bro, because
Right.
because I stand 10 toes down on those tonight's conversation cards because they really are amazing things that we just never thought to talk about, and now we're talking about them, and I think that that's great. All right, y'all, this has been The Real on Parenting. I am Coach Kiana. This is my
And I
co-host.
Therapist Danielle, a bit too early, but hey, because I was delayed.
No, it's okay. It's okay. And we will talk to y'all soon. Catch you on another episode of The Real on Parenting. Talk to you later.